Hi there. To everyone that's new here, welcome. And to those of you who've been here before, then welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you here, and please be sure to stick around till the end for an announcement. Without any further ado, I hope you enjoy the story. The first journal entry. It was 2 weeks ago. I had just gotten back home from a long day at work. I turned the keys in my Camaro and the engine sputtered to a stop as wisps of steam crept out of the bonnet. The stars in the sky were obscured by a thick blanket of clouds on this night, and lightning danced across it. The evening rain was pouring relentlessly with no sign of stopping anytime soon. That would have been fine on its own. I don't mind a good drizzle, and I'm pretty sure that everyone loves a good rainy night. But now I had a slight problem on my hands. See, I live in a suburban area, and I know you likely think that all these people in these areas have endless amounts of money growing on the trees in their backyards. And while it's true that some of them do, I am not one of these fortunate individuals. I work as a consultant at one of the local law firms, and I make just enough money to afford living in one of the smaller houses in the area. This blessed shower from heaven had created an obstacle for me, because my mini suburban house didn't have a garage. All I had was the driveway that I was parked in. Unfortunately, since I had forgotten to bring my umbrella this morning, it meant I'd have to make a dash for the front door. I would just have to pray to heaven and hope that I didn't get too wet. I figured I'd leave my laptop and papers in the car since I didn't want to risk any of my important documents getting wet. Suburban areas are pretty safe, and so I wasn't too worried about them getting stolen. 3, 2, 1, go. With the car keys in my left hand and the house keys in my right, I threw open the door of my red Camaro and sprinted for the front door. I should rephrase. Saying that I sprinted makes it sound like I actually sprinted. I didn't sprint. My tight grey business pants wouldn't let me, and so instead I just walked a tad bit faster than usual. Yet still, each step felt like I was taking longer than I should have. By the time that I eventually reached the front door, I was soaked. Damn, I should have done this in the car, I muttered as I fumbled to get the right key into the front door lock. After what probably felt like much longer than it actually was, I swung the door open, flicked on the lights, and immediately made my way to the bathroom to change out of the rain-soaked clothing. The drenched business suit's tight pants and the white shirt clung to my skin as I peeled them off. Throwing them aside, the pile of soggy clothing hit the bottom of the bathtub with a splat. In that moment, in a sort of weird, metaphorical way, I felt the weight of the work week getting lifted off my shoulders and falling away. It was still the middle of summer, and I live in a particularly hot part of the country, so the heat hadn't stopped assaulting me just because it was raining outside. If it's this hot inside, then I might as well go stand outside in the rain, I thought jokingly. I opened a window to hopefully let some of that somewhat cooler air from outside into the house. Then I grabbed a towel and started drying myself off. Face first, obviously, followed by each of my arms, my legs, everything in between, and finally my feet. As I dried my hair and lifted my head, I could have sworn that through the mirror I saw something skitter past my doorway behind me and into my bedroom. I froze. Was I afraid? No. Not exactly. I had never been the superstitious type, and so out of habit, I very quickly chalked my hallucinations up to a mix of imagination and exhaustion. However, when I had finished drying myself off and stepped out of the bathroom, my heart shook in my chest. I noticed a trail of water droplets and splashes in the passage. The human mind is an extraordinary thing. and it can travel to some frightening places if you leave it to its own devices. This is why we get scared by the shadows in our bedrooms before bedtime. We aren't focusing as much, and as a result, our minds are drifting and we are giving attention to the ideas that we regularly dismiss as childish. Shadow people, ghosts, demons, monsters hiding in the closet and under the bed, the things that watch you from the shadows, the boogeyman. In this brief moment, I let my mind drift, and it immediately began to bombard me with ideas of robbers hiding in the shadows and thieves waiting for me to fall asleep before they ransack my house and take everything. Even worse was the thought of a man with an unreasonable bloodlust now lurking in the corners of my home, a maniac, waiting for me to shut my eyes before he slowly plunged a dagger deep into my chest and ended my life for no reason at all, other than to watch the life drain from my pleading eyes. For some time I stood there, as fear and dread continued to seep into my skeptical mind, filling me with all the terror that this trail of water droplets in the passage could imply. The house was quiet. Not a single living thing could be heard, somewhat like the calm before a storm at sea. All that could be heard was the patter of the rain on the roof. It was in this moment of unusual silence that I had a moment of clarity. I realized then that there was no ghost in my house. There was no robber, no monster, no killer, and absolutely no demon hiding in the corners. Silly me, I mumbled as I realized that those droplets were brought in by myself when I arrived. I felt like a fool. What am I, an idiot? Ghosts don't exist, moron. I blamed my supposed hallucinations on the exhaustion from the overtime my boss was practically forcing me to work. Don't get me wrong, the benefits are almost more than worth it. A couple of extra leave days throughout the year, a bit of extra cash, and on top of that, the company pays for a set amount of my fuel every month. But as much as they try to get you to believe that you are the one choosing to work extra time, you aren't really. It's basically a choice between losing your job or watching your company decay and working a few extra hours every day for some light rewards. Now, hear me out. I will definitely pull out the moment it starts to take a toll on my mental and physical health. Or at least that's what I've been telling myself. If I'm being honest, I don't think I'd really have the guts to tell my boss no, if he told me to work a few extra hours every day. But enough introspection. I finished drying myself off and decided that now would be the time to tend to my growling stomach. With all the work I had been doing recently, I barely get a chance to eat lunch while I'm at work. But on the bright side, the few extra bucks means I get to spoil myself with some pizza or a burger a couple nights in the week, which is exactly what I did last night. 2 large pepperoni pizzas with extra cheese and garlic, and a soda on the side. I had only managed to get through one of the pizzas so far, and so I had a big smile across my face as I made my way to the fridge, my mouth already watering at the prospect of what was to come. The merciless white glare of the half-empty refrigerator punished my eyes as I pulled its door open. I scanned carefully from top to bottom, looking for the leftover box of pizza I had stashed in there somewhere. Perfect, I exclaimed when I found it. Nothing beats a day-old pepperoni pizza, I thought to myself. When I finally found it, I shut the door. I opened the microwave, put it in, closed it, set a timer for 3 minutes, and then I pressed start. The microwave's not-so-mellow humming emanated throughout the house once I pressed start. It nearly drowned out the patter of the rain on the roof for a few moments. That's when a question came to mind. Should I learn how to cook? Or maybe I should get a girlfriend. I mean, I can eat pizza and fast food forever, can't I? Said the microwave, and that was the answer to my question. My stomach gnawed in eager anticipation as I realized that yes, I probably could eat pizza and fast food forever. I responded by grabbing a plate and walking over to the microwave. I was immediately confused when I opened it and there was nothing inside. I froze as a strange mix of confusion and anxiety slowly overtook me. My heart was racing as I froze for the second instance this evening. It was at this moment that all the previously disregarded thoughts of robbers and ghouls and demons and ghosts came rushing back into my head. This made no sense. I'm sure I just put the leftovers in the microwave, right? I thought hesitantly, questioning my sanity. My eyes darted, glaring hurriedly at every corner of the room. This is my house. I'm alone here, I whispered to myself, taking a deep breath in the vain hopes of calming myself down. I slowly began to back away from the still open microwave and out of the kitchen. At the same time, I continued to intensely scan everything I could see for any sign that I was not alone. I was worried I would see a shifted photo frame or a moved carpet, but there were no footprints on the floor. The kitchen drawers and cabinets were closed and my cell phone was still on the counter. When I finally stepped out of the kitchen, attempting to now catch my breath and steady my racing heart, I froze for a third time this evening. Before my brain could register what I was seeing, I felt my breathing began to quicken as my skin turned pale and goosebumps crawled across it. Right in front of me was the front door. It was wide open as the roaring downpour pooled on the floor below it. I looked at my reflection in the indoor puddle and saw the look of absolute fear on my face. I'm not sure how long I stood there, frozen in fear, staring at my reflection, but I was quickly brought back to my senses by a bright flash of white light outside, followed by a thunderclap. When my mind came back to where I was, I quickly shut the door, locked it, and leaned heavily against it. I stood there, with my back pressed against the door as I tried to remember if indeed I had left it open, or not. Where had I left the key? I wondered if someone had gotten into the house, into my house. And if so, then I wondered if I should call the police. My frantic thoughts were interrupted and instantly silenced in the worst possible way, when to my horror and absolute disbelief, I heard a loud and unmistakable And that is the end of the story. I really do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, then please be sure to leave a comment. Today's question is, what would you do if you put food in the microwave, but then you came back and it was gone? I know I would immediately get out of the house. I've watched enough horror movies to know where this is going. But I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave them in the comments. Also, if you did enjoy the story, then be sure to share it with a friend and help them beat insomnia. Be sure to follow me on Instagram as well to stay up to date with whenever I post stories. On to the announcements. It's a new year, and from me to every single one of you, I do hope it goes well. Focus on your goals and focus on your loved ones, and do your best to develop yourself into the individual you want to be. With that being said, I would like to announce to you all my OnlyFans page. That's a joke. I'm actually announcing my Patreon. Patreon is a service that allows people to support the creators they love by helping them earn a living from what they do. In this day and age, it's not easy to become a full-time creative, but Patreon makes that possible, even for the smallest of creators. So if you would like to support the channel with more than a like, then please be sure to check out the link in the description. I will also be adding different tiers of support in the future, each with their own benefits, perks, and rewards. But that's all for now. Before I say goodbye for now, I would just like to thank all of you. The support this far has been amazing, and it genuinely puts a smile on my face knowing that there's people out there who actually enjoy my work. I hope to continue putting out content for you guys to enjoy. And thank you for everyone who's shared, everyone who's told a friend, everyone who's left a comment and a like. I hope to continue doing this for as long as I can. Until next time.